The emergency broadcast flashed red across every screen in the Galactic Council chambers. Ambassador Velshaw watched the images with his compound eyes, his antennae twitching with distress. The words scrolled beneath the video footage. Breaking Kepler Station Massacre, thousands dead. Velshaw was one of the Chirics, an insectoid species known throughout the galaxy for their diplomatic skills. His people had helped to negotiate peace treaties for over 200 years. They were good at understanding others, at finding common ground. But what he had witnessed at Kepler Station 3 days ago had shaken everything he thought he knew about the galaxy. The council chamber filled with representatives from 23 different species. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some walked on legs, others floated in specialized tanks. But they all shared one thing: they were scared. The Kravix horde had attacked a civilian station. Thousands were dead. The pirates had been unstoppable for 50 years. Except this time, something had gone very wrong for the Kravix. Ambassador Velshaw, the council speaker said, her voice translator making her words understandable to all. You were there. Please tell us what happened. Velshaw walked to the center platform. His 6 legs clicked on the metal floor. He had prepared a statement, but now that the moment had arrived, the words seemed too small for what he had seen. 3 days ago, he began, I was at Kepler Station for a trade conference. The station was home to over 50,000 people from our various worlds. It was a symbol of cooperation, a place where we came together in peace. He paused, his mandibles clicking nervously. The Kravix came without warning. 12 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel right on top of us. They disabled our shields in minutes. Our defense systems were no match for them. We all knew what would happen next. The Kravix would board the station, take what they wanted, and kill anyone who resisted. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Everyone knew the Kravix reputation. They were brutal, efficient. They had raided over 100 stations and never failed. Species that fought back were slaughtered. Species that surrendered were robbed but usually allowed to live. Most of us evacuated, Velshaw continued. We ran to the escape pods. We abandoned the station. The Kravix had over 3,000 warriors on those ships. What could we do? We had maybe 200 security officers total, and most of them were trained for dealing with drunk traders, not military combat. But the humans stayed. A murmur went through the council. Several representatives leaned forward. There were 300 humans on the station, Velshaw said. Crew members, traders, a few families. When the evacuation order came, they refused to leave. Their security chief, a man named Marcus Chen, sent a message to the station commander. I remember his exact words. We're not abandoning our home. Tell everyone else to get clear. We've got this. One of the council members, a large reptilian Sakth, spoke up. Did they not understand the danger? Humans are Category 4 on the threat assessment. The Kravix are Category 2. The mathematics were clear. Velshaw's antennae twitched in what his species used as a laugh. Yes, the mathematics were clear. We were all very sure of the mathematics. He pulled up a holographic display. It showed Kepler Station, a massive wheel spinning in space. Beautiful, peaceful. That had been 72 hours ago. Let me tell you what happened before the attack, Velshaw said. Kepler Station was busy that day. It was a Tuesday by Earth's calendar. The humans often mentioned that. Tuesday. It seemed important to them later. The hologram showed the interior of the station. Markets filled with goods from dozens of worlds. Families walking together. Children playing in the zero-gravity entertainment zones. Normal life. The human security chief, Marcus Chen, was having coffee in the observatory deck. Velshaw continued. I know because I was there too. We talked about his career. He told me he used to be in something called the Earth Defense Force. A Marine, he said. He had fought in what humans call the Earth-Mars Coalition War 30 years ago. I asked him what that war was about. He said it was about resources, politics, independence. The same things all wars are about. I asked him how long it lasted. He said 11 years. 11 years of humans fighting other humans in space stations on planets and asteroid fields. Velshaw paused to let that sink in. 11 years, and that was just one of their wars. He mentioned others. Dozens of them. Hundreds if you counted what he called small conflicts. I did not understand then. Humans had been at peace with the rest of the galaxy for 40 years. We thought they were peaceful. We were wrong. The hologram changed to show the moment of attack. Kravik's warships appeared like ghosts from faster-than-light travel. They were massive, ugly things covered in weapons and armor. They opened fire immediately. The station shields fell in 4 minutes, Velshaw said. The defense platforms were destroyed in 7. The Kraviks sent their boarding message. Surrender everything and live, or resist and die. Simple, efficient, it always worked. Most of the station evacuated. I was on one of the last escape pods, but as we pulled away I saw something strange. The humans were not panicking. They were organizing. The hologram showed security footage from inside the station. Humans moved with purpose through the corridors. They carried tools, equipment, supplies. Marcus Chen stood in the security center, dividing people into groups. I accessed the station's communication systems from my escape pod, Velshaw said. I wanted to understand what they were doing. I heard Marcus Chen giving orders. He split his 300 people into teams. Some were combat veterans like himself. Others were engineers, medical staff, teachers, traders. Even children old enough to help were given tasks. He told them, the Kraviks think we're soft. The galaxy thinks we're Category 4. Let's show them what Tuesday looks like. Tuesday. That word again. The hologram showed the first Kraviks boarding party breaching the station's hull, 50 warriors in heavy armor, carrying plasma rifles and shock weapons. They were experienced professional killers. They entered Cargo Bay 7 expecting to find panicked civilians. They found 12 humans instead. The Kraviks commander sent a standard message, Velshaw said. Surrender or die. The humans' response was unusual. One of them, a woman named Sarah Okonkwo, said, You came to the wrong station on the wrong day. This is our house. You're not welcome. Then the cargo bay lights went out. Velshaw pulled up the battle footage. Even now, days later, it was hard to watch. The Kraviks had sensors, night vision, thermal imaging. They were not afraid of the dark. But somehow in those first few minutes, something went terribly wrong for them. We counted later, Velshaw said softly. That first boarding party of 50 Kraviks warriors? 12 humans fought them in Cargo Bay 7. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it was over, 37 Kraviks were dead or wounded. 2 humans had died. 10 were injured. The council chamber was silent. That was when we realized, Velshaw said. We had made a terrible mistake about humans, all of us. For 40 years we thought they were peaceful. We thought they were weak. We thought Category 4 was correct. We thought the Kraviks would massacre them in minutes. We were wrong about everything. His antennae drooped. The massacre happened. But not the one we expected. What came next? What the humans did over the next 36 hours? I still have nightmares about it. Not because it was evil, but because it was efficient, calculated, almost routine for them. They called it Tuesday. The hologram flickered and died. Velshaw looked at the assembled council members. You need to understand what humans are before I continue this story. You need to understand what we invited into our galaxy 40 years ago. You need to understand what happens when you corner a species that has been fighting itself for 5,000 years. You need to understand why the Kraviks are terrified now. You need to understand why I am asking the Council to immediately reclassify humans as Category 1. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Category 1 was reserved for species that could threaten the entire galactic order. Species with planet-killing weapons. Species with millions of warriors. Humans had none of those things. But as Velshaw would explain, they had something much more dangerous. They had experience. Marcus Chen stood in the security center and watched the Kraviks boarding parties prepare their assault. 50 warriors had already entered Cargo Bay 7. He could see them on the monitors, moving with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. Team 3, status? He said into his communicator. In position, Chief, came the reply. It was Sarah Okonkwo, a doctor who had spent 10 years in the Earth Medical Corps during the Mars War. We've got surprises ready, Marcus smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Good. Remember, make every shot count. We don't have ammunition to waste. Around him, the security center hummed with activity. His people worked the computers, tracked enemy positions, and coordinated defensive teams. Most of them had never been in a real battle, but all of them had trained. Humans always trained. That was something the galaxy did not understand about his species. Wei Liu, the station's chief engineer, appeared on one of the screens. He was in the environmental control room, his hands flying over the controls. Marcus, I've got the atmosphere systems ready. On your signal, I can vent any section you want. Hold for now, Marcus said. Let's see what they do first. On the monitors, the Kravix in Cargo Bay 7 spread out in a standard military formation. They were good, Marcus admitted. Professional. They moved like they had done this 1,000 times before. They probably had, but they had never fought humans before. Sarah, they're spreading out, Marcus said. Execute on my mark. Ready. Sarah's voice was calm. Too calm. Marcus recognized it. It was the voice of someone who had been in combat before. Someone who knew how to push fear aside and focus on the task. The Kravix reached the center of the cargo bay. Their commander barked something in their language. The translation software rendered it as, clear, no resistance. Moving to next section. Marcus said quietly. The cargo bay lights died. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. But that was not the real attack. The real attack came from above and below and all sides. Cargo containers held in place by magnetic clamps, suddenly released. In the zero-gravity environment, they drifted loose. But they did not drift randomly. The humans had calculated trajectories, used small positioning thrusters stolen from maintenance drones. The containers became missiles, each one weighing several tons. The Kravix scattered, but they were in armor. They were slow. 3 containers hit their formation, crushing 5 warriors instantly. The others tried to take cover, but cover was already occupied. Humans dropped from the ceiling catwalks, rappelling down on industrial cables. They carried mining tools, welding torches, and maintenance equipment that no one had thought to list as weapons. Because they were not weapons. Not officially, but in human hands, everything was a weapon. Sarah led her team in from the side corridors. They moved fast, using the 3-dimensional environment the way ground-bound species never thought to. Up was not just up in zero gravity. Up could be any direction. Kravix trained to fight on flat surfaces. Humans trained to fight everywhere. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, 37 Kravix were casualties. The survivors retreated in disorder, something they had never done before. Marcus watched it all on the monitors. He felt no joy, no satisfaction, only a cold professional assessment of what worked and what did not. Team 3 casualties, he asked. 2 dead, 10 wounded, Sarah replied. Her voice was tight now. The calm had cracked. Jerry and Tomas didn't make it. Everyone else will survive. 2 dead. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. Jerry had a family, 2 kids. Tomas was getting married next month. Was supposed to get married. Fall back to secondary positions, Marcus said. Medical teams secure the wounded. Engineering, I need eyes on all entry points. Wei Liu's face appeared on the screen again. Marcus, they're bringing in more. I count 6 more boarding parties forming up on their ships. Maybe 300 warriors total. 300. Against fewer than 300 humans now. And the Kravix were trained warriors with military equipment. The humans were security guards, engineers, and civilians with improvised weapons. The mathematics still did not look good. Let them come, Marcus said. He pulled up a schematic of the station. Wei, can you flood Section 7 with coolant from the reactor systems? We looked confused for a moment, then his eyes widened. You want to freeze them? The Kravix are cold-blooded. I read their species profile. They slow down in cold temperatures. Marcus pointed at the schematic. If they breach through Section 7, hit them with everything cold we've got. Water, coolant, whatever. Then vent the atmosphere. Flash freeze. That's actually brilliant, Wei said. Give me 20 minutes to reroute the systems. Around the security center, other humans were implementing their own plans. A former teacher named Jennifer Walsh was using her knowledge of military history to predict Kravix tactics. She had taught classes on ancient Earth warfare. Now she was applying those same principles to a space station battle. They'll try to take engineering next, she said, pointing at a map. Control our power, control the station. It's what I would do. It's what they'll do too, Marcus agreed. Because it's the smart play. That's why we're going to let them try. Jennifer looked at him. Let them? We've rigged engineering section with mining charges, Marcus explained. Not enough to destroy it, but enough to seal all the entrances if we need to. We'll lead them in. Let them think they're winning, then cut them off. Trap them inside with no escape route. That's ruthless, Jennifer said. That's survival, Marcus replied. The Kravix don't take prisoners. They don't show mercy. We're not fighting for honor or glory. We're fighting to stay alive. And that means we use every advantage we have. Even if it means thinking like them. Especially then. The next Kravix assault came 2 hours later. They learned from the first attack. They sent drones ahead to scout. They moved more carefully. They expected traps, but they did not expect the sheer creativity of human desperation. The humans had spent those 2 hours turning their home into a death trap. They used mining equipment to create improvised claymores, packing ball bearings around explosive charges. They weaponized the station's water system, freezing pipes and creating projectiles. They even reprogrammed maintenance robots to carry explosives into enemy positions. In Section 12, a group of civilians held off 50 Kravix warriors using nothing but emergency fire suppressant foam and electrical cables. The foam was designed to smother fires in zero gravity. It also worked well to blind and disorient attackers. The electrical cables, when charged with power from the station's grid, could deliver stunning shocks. In Section 4, engineers created a maze of debris and twisted metal, forcing the Kravix into narrow choke points where numbers meant nothing. 10 humans with welding torches and mining lasers held the position for 6 hours. In the medical bay, Sarah Okonkwo performed surgery on wounded humans and aliens alike, while her staff defended the entrance. She had set up her operating theater in the station's greenhouse, surrounded by plants that provided oxygen and cover. When Kravix warriors tried to breach the medical bay, they found themselves fighting through a jungle where every shadow might hide a defender. The station itself became a weapon. Corridors vented to space at random intervals. Gravity plating malfunctioned, sending attackers tumbling. Life support systems cycled between extreme heat and cold. Lights flickered and died, then blazed with blinding intensity. The Kravix had superior numbers, better weapons, and military training. But the humans had something else. They had 300 people who knew every centimeter of their home. They had decades of experience fighting each other in similar environments. They had a history of warfare that stretched back thousands of years, and they had nothing left to lose. Ambassador Velsha, watching from his escape pod, could not believe what the sensors were showing. The Kravix were losing, not quickly but steadily. Their casualties mounted. Their assault teams bogged down in endless ambushes and traps. He accessed the station's communication channels again. He heard Marcus Chen coordinating with his teams. The human's voice never rose, never showed panic. He could have been organizing a dinner party instead of a desperate last stand. Team 7, fall back to Junction 12. Team 5, cover their retreat. Engineering, seal Section 9. Medical, prepare for incoming wounded. We've got 10 minutes until the next wave. Between every order, Marcus paused to say something personal. Good work, Jennifer. Wei, you're a genius. Sarah, everyone you saved today is because of you. He was not just commanding. He was taking care of his people, making sure they knew they mattered. Velsha realized something then. The humans were not fighting like soldiers. They were fighting like a family defending their home. Every person on that station mattered to every other person. They were not willing to lose anyone, but they were willing to make the Kravix pay in blood for every centimeter of corridor. By the end of the first day, the Kravix had lost 200 warriors. They had gained control of only 3 sections of the station, all of which were now isolated behind sealed bulkheads. The humans had lost 23 people. Velsha checked the mathematics again. This should not be possible. Category 4 species did not fight like this. Category 4 species did not win against Category 2 threats, unless the categories were wrong. The Kravix commander, war leader Throkanal, stared at the casualty reports and felt something he had not experienced in 20 years of raiding. Doubt. 200 warriors lost. 200 of his best troops defeated by maintenance workers and shopkeepers. It made no sense. The intelligence report said humans were Category 4, moderate threat at best. They had been peaceful for 40 years, but these humans fought like Category 1 threats. They fought like they had done this before, many times before. Throcknall pulled up the human database again. He read more carefully this time. Earth Defense Force, Earth-Mars Coalition War, 11 years of conflict. Then before that, dozens of smaller wars, hundreds of conflicts, going back thousands of years in their history. They never stopped fighting, Throcknall said aloud. They just stopped fighting us. His second-in-command, Kravoth, clicked his mandibles nervously. War leader, perhaps we should withdraw. Cut our losses. There are easier targets. Withdraw? Throcknall's voice was dangerous. The Kravix horde does not withdraw. We have never failed a raid. If word spreads that we ran from Category 4 civilians, we are finished. Every prey species in the galaxy will think they can resist us. Then what do we do? Thrucknall made his decision. Send everything. All remaining boarding parties, 300 warriors, overwhelming force. Flood every corridor. They cannot be everywhere at once. On Kepler Station, Marcus Chen received the warning from Wei Liu. Boss, they're launching everything. I count 300 Kravix in assault shuttles heading our way. They'll hit us in 6 sections simultaneously. Marcus nodded. He had expected this. Numbers were the Kravix advantage. Eventually, they would use them. All teams prepare for maximum assault. They're going to try to overwhelm us with bodies. Don't let them mass up. Keep them divided. Keep them confused. He switched to a private channel. Sarah, evacuate the medical bay. Get all wounded to the emergency bunkers. This is going to get bad. Already moving them, Sarah replied. Marcus, we can't hold 6 breaches at once, I know. That's why we're not going to try. Marcus pulled up the station schematic and highlighted several sections. We're going to fall back to the central hub. Create a defensive perimeter. Let them take the outer sections. Then we seal them in and make them come through the killing zones to reach us. That's giving up half the station. Jennifer Walsh protested. That's making them pay for every meter they take, Marcus corrected. The outer sections are filled with traps we've already set. Let the station do some of our fighting for us. He zoomed in on the central hub. The hub has only 4 main access corridors. We can defend those with the people we have. Force them to come at us in narrow approaches where their numbers mean nothing. Wei Liu nodded slowly. It's like the Battle of Thermopylae, the 300 Spartans holding the narrow pass. Except we've got plasma cutters and mining charges, Marcus said. Jennifer, I need you to coordinate the fallback. Make it look chaotic. I want the Kravix to think we're panicking. But we're not. We're doing exactly what we trained for. The words hung in the air. Several people looked at Marcus with new understanding. This was not improvisation. This was not desperation. Somewhere in Earth's military history, humans had planned for exactly this scenario. They had trained for it. Maybe not on this specific station, but on others like it. Humans had been preparing to defend space stations from invaders for decades, because humans assumed eventually someone would try to take them. The Kravix assault hit like a hammer. 300 warriors breaching in 6 different locations. They came with overwhelming firepower, laying down suppressing fire as they advanced. They expected resistance. They got what looked like panic. Humans fell back in apparent disorder. They abandoned positions. They fled down corridors. The Kravix pursued, smelling victory. They did not notice the sealed bulkheads behind them. They did not notice the lack of civilians in the sections they were taking. They did not notice that every corridor they advanced through had been stripped of useful equipment, until it was too late. In Section 8, 50 Kravix warriors found themselves trapped between 2 sealed doors. The corridor lights dimmed. Then Wei Liu's voice came over the speakers. Welcome to Section 8, enjoy your stay. The temperature dropped. Water sprayed from the fire suppression systems, coating everything in a fine mist. Then the atmosphere vented. The water flash froze instantly, creating a corridor full of ice statues. Some of the Kravix survived by retreating into side rooms, but they were trapped, unable to cut through the reinforced bulkheads without heavy equipment. In Section 3, the Kravix advanced through what looked like an abandoned marketplace. Stalls full of goods from a dozen worlds. They spread out to search for loot. The mining charges hidden under the stalls detonated simultaneously. Not enough to breach the hull, but enough to turn everything into shrapnel. The Kravix found themselves in a metal storm with no cover. In Section 12, the Kravix pursued retreating humans through a maze of corridors. They thought they were winning. They thought their prey was running scared. Then the humans stopped running. They turned around and fought from prepared positions, using the corridors as killing zones. The Kravix could not bring their numbers to bear. They could only come 3 abreast through the narrow passages. And waiting for them were humans with stolen Kravix weapons, mining lasers, and the desperation of people defending their home. Ambassador Velshaw watched it all from his escape pod, his sensors picking up fragments of communication. He heard Marcus Chen directing his teams with calm efficiency. He heard humans laughing sometimes, making jokes even as they fought for their lives. One exchange stayed with him. Team 5, you've got 50 Kravix heading your way. Copy that. Same as the drill last Tuesday. Exactly the same. Remember to fall back after the first charge detonates. Roger. Hey, at least it's not raining this time. Laughter on the channel. They were laughing. In the middle of a battle that should have been their massacre, they were making jokes about training exercises. That was when Velshaw truly understood. This was not new to them. This was practice. Humans ran drills for this exact scenario. They called it Tuesday because it was routine, normal, expected. What kind of species practices defending space stations as a regular training exercise? A species that expects to have to do it eventually. The Kravik's advance stalled. 300 warriors had breached the station, but they were divided, confused, trapped in sections that had become prisons. Their numerical advantage meant nothing when they could not bring those numbers to bear. Thrucknall watched his tactical display with growing horror. 50 warriors here, 30 there, 20 in another section, all cut off from each other. All taking casualties. The humans had not panicked. They had retreated in perfect order, leading his troops into prepared traps. How many are left in the central hub? He demanded. Sensors show approximately 100 humans fortified in the hub's defensive positions, Krevoth reported. But war leader, we have lost contact with half our boarding parties. The other half are pinned down. We cannot advance further without reinforcements. Then send reinforcements. We have no more warriors to send. Everyone who can board is already on the station. Thrucknall felt the doubt grow into something worse. Fear. He had sent 3,000 warriors to take this station. How many had he lost? 500? 600? The numbers did not matter anymore. What mattered was that humans, worthless Category 4 humans, were winning. On the station, Marcus Chen gathered his team leaders in the hub's command center. They were tired, wounded, down to less than 100 effective fighters, but they were not beaten. The Kraviks are stuck, Marcus said, showing the tactical map. They've got maybe 300 warriors still combat effective, but they're scattered, divided, cut off from each other. So now what? Sarah asked. We wait them out? No, Marcus said quietly. Now we do something the Kraviks never expect. He pointed at the tactical display showing the Kraviks warships in orbit. Now we attack them. The room went silent. Jennifer Walsh spoke first. Attack? Marcus, we're barely holding on here. We can't go on offense against warships. Why not? Marcus asked. They've committed most of their warriors to the station. Their ships are running on skeleton crews, and they're not expecting us to come to them. Wei Liu started to grin. You want to counterboard their ships. 3 of them, Marcus confirmed. Small teams, hit fast, disable their weapons systems. If we can take out their ability to destroy the station, we win. They'll have to choose. Continue a losing boarding action or cut their losses and run. That's insane, someone said. That's war, Marcus replied. You don't win by playing defense forever. You win by making the enemy more scared of you than you are of them. He looked around the room at the tired, battered faces of his people. The Kraviks came here thinking this would be easy, thinking we would roll over and die. They were wrong. Now we're going to show them just how wrong they were. We're going to make them regret the day. They heard about Kepler Station. We're going to make them regret the day. They heard about humans. Sarah Okonkwo stood up. I'm in. Someone needs to patch up the boarding teams anyway. Wei Liu nodded. I can hack their systems. Give me access to a Kravik's computer and I can cause chaos. The human shuttle raced toward the Kravik's flagship with no stealth, no subtlety. Marcus Chen sat in the pilot seat, pushing the small craft to maximum speed. Behind him, 12 other humans checked their equipment one final time. They had stolen Kravik's plasma rifles from the dead. They carried mining charges and cutting torches. They wore maintenance suits that were never designed for combat. By any military standard, they were poorly equipped and outnumbered, but they had something the Kraviks did not expect. The absolute certainty that they were already dead unless they won. That made them dangerous. Approaching flagship, Marcus announced. Weapons lock detected. They're going to shoot us down. Wei Liu, working frantically at a portable computer, looked up. Give me 30 seconds. We don't have 30 seconds. Then fly better. Marcus threw the shuttle into a wild spiral, dodging the first volley of defensive fire. The shuttle was designed to carry cargo, not perform combat maneuvers. It groaned and shook. Alarm screamed. But it held together. 20 seconds, Wei said calmly. as if they were not about to die. Their second battery is locking on, Sarah warned from her seat. She had one hand on a medical kit and the other on a stolen rifle. Marcus, I see it.
Way, got it.
Wei slammed his hand down on the enter key. On the Kravik's flagship, the defensive system suddenly identified the human shuttle as a friendly vessel. The weapons powered down. How did you do that? Jennifer asked. I've been monitoring their communication frequencies since the battle started, Wei explained. Their IFF codes are surprisingly simple. Military-grade encryption, but they rotate on a predictable pattern. I just convinced their computer we're one of their shuttles returning from the station. Marcus brought the shuttle alongside the flagship's docking bay, breaching in 3, 2, 1. The shuttle's emergency airlock clamped onto the Kravik's ship's hull and burned through with cutting torches. Alarms blared on the Kravik's ship, but by then it was too late. The humans were already inside. They moved fast. Marcus led the way, rifle up, clearing corners the way he had been taught 30 years ago. Behind him, his team spread out in practiced formations. They might have been civilians now, but most of them had military backgrounds. And humans never forgot their combat training. The first Kravix they encountered was a technician, unarmed, caught completely by surprise. He reached for an alarm, but Sarah's stunner hit him first. He dropped unconscious. Tie him up, Marcus ordered. We're not here to kill anyone we don't have to. They moved deeper into the ship. The corridors were tight, designed for Kravix who were shorter and bulkier than humans. Marcus had to hunch, and his team moved single file. But that worked in their favor. The Kravix could not bring numbers to bear in these spaces either. They reached an intersection and found 6 Kravix guards waiting. The Kravix opened fire immediately. Plasma bolts scorched the walls. The humans dove for cover. Grenade! Marcus shouted and tossed a mining charge around the corner. It was not designed as a weapon, but explosives were explosives. The blast sent the Kravix guards reeling. The humans advanced through the smoke, weapons ready. 3 guards were down, stunned or wounded. 3 more retreated, firing wildly. Jennifer dropped one with precise shooting. Sarah's team flanked and captured the other 2. Engineering section should be 2 corridors ahead, Wei said, checking his stolen data pad. But there will be more guards. Let them come, Marcus said. His voice was cold now, professional. He was not Marcus Chen, the security chief, anymore. He was Lance Corporal Chen, Earth Defense Force Marines, and he was in combat mode. They fought their way through the ship corridor by corridor. The Kravix were brave, Marcus admitted. They did not run. They fought hard to defend their ship, but they had never faced an enemy who boarded them before. They were used to being the attackers, not the defenders. Humans, on the other hand, had centuries of experience with boarding actions. From pirates in Earth's oceans to Marines storming space stations, it was in their tactical doctrine. It was in their training. It was in their blood. Marcus's team reached engineering and found it defended by 20 Kravix warriors in full combat armor. They had set up a defensive perimeter with overlapping fields of fire. It was a good defense, professional. It should have been impossible for 12 humans to break through, should have been. Wei, can you overload something? Marcus asked. Wei looked at the engineering systems, reading the alien labels through his translation software. Maybe. If I reroute power from their main reactor through the secondary systems without proper cooling, yes. I can create a feedback loop that will blow out their power grid. But it will take 5 minutes, and I need to be at that console. He pointed at a terminal in the center of the room, surrounded by Kravix defenders. 5 minutes, Marcus repeated. He looked at his team. They were tired, wounded, running on adrenaline and determination. Can anyone think of a better plan? Silence. Then we make this work, Marcus said, suppressing fire on my mark. Wei, you run for that console and you do not stop for anything. The rest of us will keep you alive. Marcus, that's suicide, Sarah protested. That's Tuesday, Marcus corrected. On 3. 1, 2, 3. They opened fire all at once. Plasma bolts, mining lasers, everything they had. The Kravix defenders returned fire, and the engineering room became a storm of energy weapons and flying debris. Wei ran. He ran faster than he had ever run in his life, dodging, weaving, sliding under a console as plasma bolts scorched the air above him. He reached the terminal and threw himself behind it, using the console itself as cover. His fingers flew over the alien keyboard. The translation software was slow, clumsy, but he made it work. He found the power systems, found the reactor controls, found the safety limits, and began removing those limits one by one. 2 minutes. he shouted over the sound of weapons fire. Marcus and his team held the line. They were outnumbered nearly 2-1, but they had cover and they had experience. They made every shot count. They worked as a unit, covering each other, calling out targets, moving with practiced efficiency. Jennifer took a plasma bolt to the shoulder and went down. Sarah dragged her behind cover while still firing with her other hand. One of the younger volunteers, a man named David, was hit in the leg. He kept shooting from the ground. 1 minute, Y called. The Kravix realized what was happening and charged. All 20 of them. A desperate rush to stop Way before he could complete his work. They came with brutal determination, willing to die to save their ship. They met humans who were equally determined not to let them pass. The battle became close quarters. Rifle butts, knives, fists, humans and Kravix grappling in the tight space. Marcus found himself face to face with a Kravix warrior twice his size. The alien's strength was overwhelming, but Marcus had been in knife fights before. He had scars from dozens of conflicts. He knew how to fight dirty, how to use an opponent's strength against them, how to find the vulnerable spots in alien anatomy. His blade found one such spot. The Kravix went down. Time! Way shouted and slammed his hand on the final command. The engineering room's lights flickered. Then the power grid across the entire ship began to cascade failure. Lights died. Systems shut down. The artificial gravity failed, sending everyone floating. Go, go, go! Marcus ordered. His team grabbed Way and the wounded and retreated. They moved through the darkened corridors in zero gravity, using the walls to push themselves forward. Behind them, the Kravix flagship went dark. Life support running on emergency power. Weapons offline. Engines dead. The ship was not destroyed, but it was helpless. Marcus's team made it back to their shuttle and launched immediately. As they pulled away, Marcus saw other human shuttles near 2 other Kravix warships. His people had succeeded on multiple targets. 3 Kravix warships disabled, 3 more damaged. The remaining 6 were pulling back, their commanders unwilling to risk their ships against an enemy that boarded them instead of the other way around. On Kepler Station, the remaining Kravix warriors realized their support was gone. The ships that were supposed to evacuate them were retreating. The ships that were supposed to provide fire support were disabled or fleeing. They were alone. Trapped on a hostile station, cut off from reinforcement. Exactly how the humans had felt 36 hours ago. War leader Throcknell stared at his tactical display in disbelief. 3 of his best warships disabled by boarding parties. By humans. By Category 4 civilians who should not even know how to operate military equipment. Recall all forces, he ordered. His voice was dead. Full retreat. Leave the station. War leader, we have 300 warriors still aboard. I said retreat. Throcknell roared. If we stay, we lose more ships. We lose everything. The warriors aboard the station are dead anyway. At least this way we save the fleet. It was the correct military decision, the cold logical choice. Cut losses. Preserve force. Retreat to fight another day. It was also an admission of defeat. The Kravix horde, undefeated in 50 years of raiding, was running from humans. On the station, Marcus Chen received the report that the Kravix fleet was retreating. He looked at the tactical map showing the 300 Kravix warriors still aboard, now abandoned by their command. He could have killed them all. They were trapped, cut off, leaderless. It would have been easy, justified even after everything they had done. Ambassador Velshaw finished his testimony to the Galactic Council. The chamber was completely silent. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in stunned disbelief. 300 humans, Velshaw repeated, against 3,000 Kravix warriors. In 36 hours, the humans killed or wounded 1,247 Kravix. They disabled 6 warships. They captured 300 prisoners. He paused, his antennae trembling. Human casualties, 43 dead, 117 wounded. The rest walked away. The silence stretched. Finally, the council speaker found her voice. How is this possible? Our threat assessments. Your threat assessments were wrong, a new voice interrupted. A human woman walked to the center platform. She was tall, with graying hair and the same calm confidence that Marcus Chen had shown. My name is Ambassador Chen. Marcus is my younger brother. And I think it is time we had an honest conversation about what humans are. The council speaker gestured for her to continue. Ambassador Chen pulled up a holographic display. It showed Earth, beautiful and blue, rotating slowly in space. This is our homeworld, she said. It looks peaceful, doesn't it? But let me tell you about Earth. Our gravity is higher than 80% of habitable worlds. Our atmosphere has more oxygen, which makes fires burn hotter. Our planet has violent weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, and predators that evolved alongside us. She changed the image to show various Earth animals. Lions, sharks, bears, snakes, we are not the strongest species on our planet. We are not the fastest or the most venomous or the most armored. But we are the most dangerous. Do you know why? No one answered. Because we are persistent. Because we are adaptable. Because we never stop learning. Because we have been fighting for survival since before we could walk upright. The image changed again, showing human history. Ancient battles with spears and shields. Medieval warfare with swords and armor. Modern combat with guns and tanks. Space battles with energy weapons and warships. You look at our history and see 40 years of galactic peace. We look at our history and see 5,000 years of continuous warfare. Wars for food, for territory, for religion, for politics, for resources. We have fought each other in every environment imaginable, on land, at sea, in the air, in space. We have fought in deserts and jungles, in frozen tundra and burning cities. We have gotten very good at fighting. A reptilian counselor spoke up. But you have been peaceful with us. You joined the galactic community. You signed the peace accords. Yes, Ambassador Chen agreed. Because we are also very good at peace. We learned after thousands of years that cooperation works better than conflict. We learned that trade is better than war. We learned to talk instead of fight. But we never forgot how to fight. We never will. She pulled up another image. It showed human military academies, training facilities, war colleges. Every human nation maintains a military. Every human soldier trains constantly. We study history, tactics, strategy. We run simulations. We practice scenarios, defense drills, boarding actions, siege warfare, zero-gravity combat. We practice because we know eventually someone will threaten us. The Kraviks thought they were that threat. They were wrong. Wei Liu appeared on a screen, broadcasting from Kepler Station. His arm was in a sling, but he was smiling. Ambassador Chen, if I may add something? Go ahead, Engineer Liu. The Council should know that what happened here was not special. Every human station runs similar drills. Every human colony has defense plans. We practice because it is routine. We call it Tuesday because we literally run these exercises on Tuesdays. He pulled up a training schedule. See? Tuesday afternoon, 1400 hours. Hostile boarding response drill. Every Tuesday. For years. We practice turning our homes into fortresses. We practice fighting in corridors. We practice improvising weapons. We practice coordinating without command structure. We practice everything that we did for real this week. Because humans have a saying, Wei continued. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. We hoped we would never need those skills. But we prepared anyway. Jennifer Walsh appeared on another screen. She was in a hospital bed, recovering from her injuries. I'm a teacher. I taught history to children. I never thought I would use military tactics in real life. But every human learns military history. We study ancient battles, famous generals, tactical innovations. We study our own mistakes. We remember our defeats as clearly as our victories. We remember so we never repeat them. Sarah Okonkwo joined the transmission, standing in the rebuilt medical bay. I'm a doctor. My job is to save lives, but I trained in the military medical corps because humans understand that doctors need to work in combat zones. We practice medicine under fire. We practice triage. We practice keeping people alive when everything is trying to kill them. That is what humans do. We prepare. Back in the council chamber, Ambassador Chen let her people's words sink in. You classified us as Category 4 based on 40 years of peace. You made a fundamental error. You assumed that peace means weakness. For humans, peace means we have the luxury to train without the distraction of actual war. Peace makes us more dangerous, not less. A small insectoid counselor spoke up nervously. Are you saying humans are a threat to the galaxy? No, Ambassador Chen said firmly. We are saying humans are a threat to anyone who threatens us, or our friends, or our allies. We do not start fights, but we finish them. She gestured to Velsha. The ambassador of the Chirix people will tell you that we treated our Kraviks prisoners with respect. We gave them medical care. We followed the rules of warfare even when they did not. Because humans understand honor. We understand mercy. But we also understand violence, and we are very, very good at it when necessary. The council speaker looked around the chamber at the shocked faces. What are you asking from this council, Ambassador Chen? I am asking you to reclassify humans appropriately. Not because we want to be feared, but because we want to be honest. Underestimating us is dangerous. For you and for us, the Kravix learned that lesson the hard way. I am also asking you to understand something important about humans. We do not want war. We do not glory in violence. Every human who died defending Kepler Station was a loss that hurts us deeply. We mourn them. We will remember them. We would have preferred to resolve the situation peacefully. But when faced with extinction or victory, we will choose victory. Every time, Velsha stood up again. I support Ambassador Chen's request. The Chirix people have observed humans for 40 years. We thought we understood them. We were wrong. They are not Category 4. They are not even Category 1. He looked directly at the council. Speaker, I believe humans are Category 0. A new classification for species that are not actively aggressive, but possess capabilities that make them existential threats if provoked. Species that should be allies, never enemies. The council erupted in debate. Arguments flew back and forth. Some councilors agreed, others resisted. The discussion lasted for hours. Finally, a vote was called. By a narrow margin, the council agreed. Humans would be reclassified, not as Category 1, but as Velsha suggested, Category 0. A special classification that warned other species. Do not attack humans. Do not threaten humans. Do not assume humans are weak because they are peaceful. On Kepler Station, Marcus Chen stood in the memorial garden that had been built to honor the dead. 43 names were carved into a wall of black stone. He touched each name, remembering faces, voices, laughs. Jerry, who had 2 kids. Tomas, who never got married. Sarah's assistant, who died protecting patients. The young engineer who took a plasma bolt meant for Wei. They called it a massacre, Marcus said quietly to himself. The news. The politicians. The historians. They will write about the Kepler Station massacre and make it sound like some great victory. Sarah Okonkwo walked up beside him. Her arm was still bandaged, but she was healing. What would you call it? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I would call it Tuesday. Just another Tuesday. Because that is what it was. We did what we trained to do. We defended our home. We survived. 43 people did not survive. No, Marcus agreed. They did not. And that is why it was not a victory. That is why I do not feel proud. I feel sad and tired and grateful that it is over. Would you do it again, if I had to? Yes, every time, because the alternative was letting everyone die. He looked at Sarah. But I hope I never have to. I hope Tuesday goes back to being just Tuesday. Boring drills. Bad coffee, paperwork. I think that is going to be hard, Sarah said. The galaxy knows about us now, about what we can do. Good, Marcus said. Maybe that means they will think twice before attacking. Maybe that means fewer Tuesdays like this one. They stood together in silence, honoring the dead. Across the galaxy, word spread about Kepler Station, about the humans who defeated the Kravix horde, about Category 0. Some species were frightened. Others were curious. Many wanted to become allies with humans, to have such formidable defenders on their side. The Kravix horde, once feared across 100 systems, disbanded. The surviving warriors spread the word. Do not fight humans. Do not board their stations. Do not assume anything about them. They are not what they seem. They look peaceful. They act civilized. They talk about cooperation and friendship.